the easiest way to do this is wait for an overcast day. So you have a nice diffuse light coming from the sky and also a nice diffuse shadow, which will make things easier later when we try to match the light in Octane. And the second thing is don't move too fast, because we don't want any motion blur, because again, it will be a nightmare to match in Octane. Of course, you can do that, but let's keep everything simple. So we have first to convert the video to a PNG sequence. I'm using Adobe Media Encoder for this. Just set to PNG and export where you want. I already did that, and I ended up with almost 500 images. So it's an image sequence. That's fine. And now let's jump into Cinema 4D. So we need a motion tracker object. Just click on that and load your footage. So select the first one and we are ready to go. We can change the resampling here. So a lower one will go faster in the preview here, but I don't care. I like to keep this high and see with a good quality. Then we have to create 2D tracking first. So I usually do create auto track, and I see that actually I don't need all these points up there. So we can do create a mask for that. Create mask. Let's do something like this. So we can work with more points here. Okay, that's fine. I also want to increase the number of tracks to 900. Maybe it's too much. I don't care. Okay, looks like there's many tracking points. Yeah, this is going to work really well. So now I'm just checking if everything is fine. You don't have to do this like me. Yeah. So now we have to tell Cinema 4D to track the whole footage. So just go on the first frame and click Auto Track. This is going to take a while. You can see it's thinking here. So just grab a coffee, go outside and wait. Okay, 20 minutes later and one coffee later, we have the scene all tracked. As you can see, we have many points. Really good. And now that we have a 2D tracking, we can actually do a 3D solve. So I don't know my sensor size on the phone, but if you know that, just put it here. It will be easier to do the 3D solve. And then just run. And again, you have to wait. Okay, the 3D tracker finished, the 3D solve, sorry, finished. And we have now all these nice points. So we can create our plane. And to do that, just choose Motion Tracker, Constraints, and create Planar Constraints. If you don't have that, like me here, just click on the Motion Tracker, and now you have it. So we have to pick 3 good points. And how do you know that they are good? Well, because you have to aim for the green ones. So I'll pick this one, this, and this one. I'm only guessing, but as you can see, they are all green. And now we can click Create Plane. And we have our plane here. So what I usually do is go at the beginning and start to mess with the sides of the plane, like that. We need this for the shadow, so rotate it. I'll do even bigger, like that. Okay, I think it's perfect. So we have to change a few settings here. In the render setting, first we have to match the resolution of the video. So in my case, it's 4K vertical. And then, of course, the frames, like that. And under the save option, just enable the alpha channel and set the image format to PNG. And we have to do the same, so enable the alpha channel also in Octane here. So I'm using path tracing and enable the alpha channel. Okay. And we still don't see our background. So to enable that, just go under Motion Tracker, Create Background Objects. So this looks like it's fine, but it's not, because it's not an Octane material. So just select that and Material, Convert Materials. Now we can see that there's just a diffuse image. That's fine. And under Image Texture, just change the animation. So the movie start frame is 0, because I know that because of this, frame number 0, and the last frame is 491. So like that. And movie frame rate, let's change that all to. That should work. So just be sure that the background object has the Octane material and it should animate correctly. Yeah. So after this, we have to create a material for the plane. And to do that, let's create C4D Octane and Octane material, or you can do that from here. Just create diffuse material. Let's apply this to the plane. And this will catch our shadow. So just go on the common and shadow catcher. It disappeared, but that's fine. And the other thing we have to do is create a sphere. So just like this. And of course, it's not in the scene because it's not in the center. So we can control the position. Here, you can change the camera to perspective and like this. I'm going to stop Octane. And you can move it around until it's where you want. Something like that, I think. So let's set up our light, and I'm going to use a HDRI environment. Just create that, and it's going to ask you for an image texture. And I already have that from Polyheaven, and I tried to match the light, so it's overcast, and you have a diffuse light and shadow. Also, the ground is kind of the same, and the surrounding is really similar. So it might take a while, but you will end up with something really similar to what you have in your scene. And just download that and just open that. And there you have it. So now this spherical image is shooting light at our sphere, and we can mess around a little bit with that. And you can try to match the light. So I think the sun was somewhere around here. So I want more shadow in this visible part. Something like that. So create object, Vectron, and by default we have a sphere. We want that Vectron sphere to be on the same position as our sphere here. So just set that as child, and you have to reset to 0 all the coordinates. I have a button for that, like that. And we don't need the sphere anymore, so just delete. And in the Vectron object, you can change the radius. So let's try to match what we had before. Something like that. And you can use our formula on the website, on Machina Infinitum website, or you can just use the default Vectron one here, which is called Mandelbrot. And we need to change the power to 8. And as you can see, we have a nice Mandelbrot here. So it's way too big. So let's decrease to 0.3. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe a little bigger. So the default Vectron formula has some errors and it's not rendering really well. That's why you would use our packs, but we can change that by decreasing the bounds to 300. So we have a nice Vectron object. Yeah, looks good. And next we have to do the material for this beast. So let's create a new shader, Octane material, apply that to the Vectron. And I want to use some subsurface scattering for this. So to do that, we need to increase the ray epsilon in the Octane setting. So just play with that until you have a nice object with enough detail, something like this, I think. And let's create this material. So I like to use the node editor. So let's undock the Octane viewer and let's start playing with the material. So I'm aiming for something like this material here. You got nice detail, nice color, good contrast, really good. So to do that, we can't use a diffuse, so set that to universal. And we need some medium, so a random wall medium. And let's drag a RGB spectrum, actually 2. So 1 to the albedo and 1 to the radius. Let's change the color and see what we get. We get nothing. Let's change also the radius. Still nothing, of course, because we have to put the transmission to white. So change it to black to white. And now the final thing, the albedo color should be the opposite of the random walk albedo color. At least this is how I do it. Yeah, right? We get something. It took me a while to create the material here, but I'm not going to show you everything, but basically you play with the albedo and the albedo in the random walk and with the radius. Now I can tell that there's too much light coming in. So let's go back to the Octane sky and change a few things, like the power. Yeah, something around that. Zero 0.5 maybe. Yeah, that's not bad. And that's basically it. Okay, so it's rendering. Looks good. I'm going to stop this because I already have the old footage. But let's check the images. So test render. But you see that there's no background. That's why, because we have to composite that in After Effects. So to do that, just open After Effects, import files, and it's called static. Okay, this one. So the original PNG sequence. Import. That's perfect. And now we have to import the video that we just rendered. I'm going to use my old one. So static, this one. It's exactly the same. I just changed the fractal formula again and changed the material. So I spent more time on the light and until I got that to look like this. And let's drag this image sequence on top of the video. And boom, you have it.